Hello, I'm Sri from CBTU. CBTU presents a course on Python language, section Python coding style, PEP8. Agenda for this session: know about Python coding style, that is PEP8, code layout, including indentation, line breaks, blank lines, source file encoding, naming conventions, and programming recommendations. PEP stands for Python Enhancement Proposals. PEP8 has emerged as the style guide that most projects adhere to. It promotes a very readable and eye-pleasing coding style. Every Python developer should read it at some point. This is the web page of PEP8 Style Guide for Python Code. This is Python website. Under Documentation, open PEP Index. This is PEP Index page. PEP0. This is index of all PEPs. PEP8 stands for Style Guide for Python Code. These are the other information on PEPs. PEP20 is the gen of Python that we have seen. It's the information or summary of Python language style. We can see the gen of Python aphorisms by import this. Okay, let us go to PEP8. This is PEP8 Style Guide for Python. We are going to understand about the code layout, string codes, white spaces, comments, naming conventions, and programming recommendations. Some of the recommendations in this style guide are optional, but if followed, it helps fellow coders to understand and uniformly maintain the code. Following uniform style, making it easy for others to read your code is always a good idea. Adopt nice, simple coding style to help fellow programmers. Coming to Python, it has simple style and the most important points are discussed in this section. Let us discuss about the code layout. Indentation. Use four-space indentation and no tabs. Tabs in some editors like Notepad++ have four-space tab anyway. Four spaces are a good compromise between small indentation and large indentation. Small indentation allows greater nesting depth. Word wrap lines, maximum line length. Limit maximum line length wrap lines to 79 characters. The default wrapping in most tools disrupts the visual structure of the code. Every editor may have a default wrapping length. Python standard library is conservative and requires limiting lines to 79 characters. The preferred way of wrapping lines is by using Python's implied line concatenation inside parentheses, brackets, and braces. Long lines can be broken over multiple lines by wrapping expressions in parentheses. Wrapping lines helps users with small displays and makes it possible to have several code files side by side on larger displays. This is help about text wrap. Text wrap is useful in text wrapping and filling. Use blank lines to separate functions and classes and larger blocks of code inside functions. Extra blank line is used to indicate logical sections. Python accepts the Ctrl-L form feed character as white space. Many tools treat these characters as space separators. Add comments for clear understanding to benefit fellow programmers to quickly catch up. Always make a priority of keeping the comments up to date whenever the code changes. Comments should be complete sentences. Python has two ways to annotate Python code: single-line comments and multi-line comments. Single-line comments begin with hash character and are terminated by the end of the line. Multi-line comments are achieved by inserting a multi-line string with triple quotes of single quote or double quotes as the delimiter on each end. Documentation strings are docstrings. These strings are located as the first indented line within a module. within a module, class, method, or function. Docstrings are automatically set to their contents as an attribute named doc. Docstring described what a method or a function does. The comment should appear after the def line. This is an example. This is a function containing this text within triple quotes, followed by a print string. You import the module and access the docstring. The output will be this string. When you call the doc attribute, it prints this help text. It's a best practice to use spaces around operators and after commas. This is an example. Name your classes and functions consistently. Use camel case as naming convention for classes. Use lowercase with underscores for functions and methods. Camel case name is after the camel humps. Is the practice of writing phrases with middle of the phrase begins with a capital letter. Some of the examples we know are iPhone, eBay, etc. Code in core Python distribution should always use UTF-8. In the standard library, non-default encoding should only be used for test purposes. Don't use fancy encoding if your code is meant to be used in collaborated international environments. Python's default is UTF-8. Even plain ASCII work best in any case. Don't use non-ASCII characters in identifiers when people speaking different languages are required to read or maintain the code. The naming conventions must be descriptive and go through the PEP8 document about all these, like what names to avoid, ASCII compatibility, and all this. Annotations are stored in annotations attribute of the functions as a dictionary and have no effect on any other part of the function. Function annotations are defined in PEP3107. This is the Python module. This is the definition to return this string. Import this module. Calling this module with greeting function with string parameter gives this output. AR function for this greeting will print these attributes. Annotations are stored in annotations attribute. Please watch session on function annotations. Dunders, the names with two leading and trailing underscores, such as annotations just we have seen and others. Like these annotations call, closure, code, and these are Dunder names. These Dunder should be placed after the module docstring, but before any import statements except from future imports. Python mandates that future imports must appear in the module before any other code except docstrings. That is about the PEP8 style guide for the Python. Thanks for watching.